So things are really starting to heat up for Keir Starmer now, and this is probably going to be crunch week for a number of reasons, not least of which because his own MPs seem to be turning against him. And today is supposed to be the day that we see the first migrants deported back to France in this one-in, one-out deal, which I'll come back to in a minute, and reasons why that might fall apart. But back to his own MPs, with even Clive Lewis, which I'll be honest, did surprise me, but quite a bold statement from someone I didn't expect. He says, Starmer doesn't seem to be up to the job. It feels that he's lost control within the first year. And I know I ask in almost every video, but if you believe in and you want to support free speech, please do subscribe to my channels here. I'll link them below. That assists me to commit more time pro bono to assist Restore Britain and all of the things that you want to believe in. So thank you so much for doing that. And I dare say he's not the only one to have said something like that, or certainly thought something like that, but also in The Independent today, the headline, Starmer could be ousted within months if he doesn't change course, warned by his Labour MPs. Richard Bergen says that he must deliver for people or there will have to be a change at the very top. In other words, he needs to step aside. Now, when headlines like this come about and they say this might happen within months, very often it happens just within a matter of days. Now, lots of people predicted Angela Rayner resigning, and lots of people have predicted other MPs either being resigned or having been removed from their positions and so on. So all of these things do tend to happen fairly quickly. Now, talking about things happening very quickly, this is supposed to be the day where we see the first migrants set off to France, but strangely enough, they're supposed to be going on passenger flights with at least one escort per migrant, and the estimates are anything from a handful to up to about 50 for this first week, but we'll have to see what happens. But there is a serious problem in that this might be challenged, and you won't believe how and why this might be challenged. It's quite ridiculous, but such as it is, I'll tell it to you as it is. So this report here says that the Home Office could be blocked from deporting these migrants and foreign criminals at the last minute because of questions over whether it is unlawfully using an algorithm to decide whether or not they should be removed. This goes for both, and as I understand it, both foreign criminals being deported and migrants being deported under this one-in, one-out scheme. Now, this Privacy International charities previously argued that electronic tagging and monitoring was unlawful, submitted a 94-page complaint to the ICO saying that the Home Office is breaking data laws on the way that it deports and monitors migrants. If this is successful, and particularly these things are often successful at the last minute, as Shabana Mahmood well knows because she signed one of the letters to this effect to prevent foreign criminals being deported in her past, who she now stands as Home Secretary, these such claims could well block these deportations at the last minute. Now, I would suggest that if that happens, and I strongly suspect that there's going to be at the very least an attempt to make this happen, then this could really spell disaster for Keir Starmer, because this is the one thing, even though I don't think it's such a great deal, but this is the one thing that they've been shouting and screaming and celebrating about, in that we've finally got this groundbreaking deal with France to send one migrant back per migrant that they accept to come from France on some kind of scheme where they apply. And apparently they've been advertising for expression of interest for those in France that want to come to the UK under this arrangement. But it sounds quite ridiculous. It is a net zero return, but even that might be stopped in its tracks if this charity or any other lawyers jump on the bandwagon.
Now, just as a harsh reality check, I did a poll on X to ask how many people on here in the UK have drafted a post and then deleted it thinking, nah, it's not worth being arrested and prosecuted under this regime. Thousands of people responded. Put in the comments below, what percentage do you think said yes, that they have deleted something thinking it's not worth being arrested and prosecuted under this regime for something that they post on X, bearing in mind how many people are prosecuted for things that they say online. Now that you've done that, it was 84.6% of thousands of people that replied to that said that they've deleted something. That is staggering. Now, bearing in mind that a lot of what you do is tracked online and people are trying to stay anonymous, but These days, it's very difficult to stay anonymous. And so that is why I can wholeheartedly recommend to you on this channel one of my partners, NordVPN, because they will provide you anonymity. It's a virtual private network, meaning it won't track anything that you do online. And whilst they can't guarantee anonymity completely, there is a guide to maintain your anonymity from them, which I'll link below. But what they do is put a barrier between you and the internet. They anonymize your connection. They keep no logs and traces of what you do online. And if you take other steps to stay anonymous as well, that's the best that you can do. But also, just yesterday, at the time of recording, somebody told me that they had an account hacked just because they downloaded a PDF and they clicked something in there and it stole the session ID from their browser, and they took control of that whole browser session and all of the logins that they were logged into at that time. This was just because they clicked a link in the download, a PDF that they were sent, and they thought it was genuine. NordVPN will help you to prevent that as well, because it will scan for malicious downloads, malicious websites, and it will just stop you and make you think twice. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee, and it's absolutely worth it. And as a partner to my channel, you get 4 months extra free using the code BBB at the link nordvpn.com/BBB. It's in the description. Of course, you get 30 days to change your mind if you want to, but once you know that you're that little bit safer, you'll be commenting a little bit more freely than the thousands of people here that said they deleted something. So don't forget the code BBB for your 4 months free.
Now, speaking of immigration lawyers, there's another story that caught my attention here in The Guardian. Again, all these things they're being reported, and it's quite unbelievable, but these are things that are being reported. So as this is a channel of law, these are all legal issues that you need to be aware of, because if you don't read these sources and don't understand what they are, you might not come across them. But this law firm here, despite only having a handful of lawyers, was apparently making £1.7 million in legal aid claims related to immigration and related applications. But they've now lost their contract over standards because they were challenged as to why they could have so many cases, such an extensive caseload with only a handful of lawyers. The Guardian says here, when asked to explain why the firm had expanded its caseload so dramatically and how it was possible to provide adequate legal representation for thousands of asylum seekers with just 5 immigration solicitors and a mix of 15 junior or more senior caseworkers, they said, "No solicitor was here during the expansion phase. It's difficult for me to explain how the firm suddenly grew so large in such a short space of time. I don't know." Now, I'm not even going to speculate as to why it grew so much and so quickly. But in any event, this report now says that they've lost that contract. In other news, to make commentary on this as well, we have Ed Davey writing to Keir Starmer, Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage, urging them to condemn Elon Musk's what he calls dangerous remarks inciting violence. Now, off the bat, I have to disagree that Elon Musk was inciting violence. The words complained of in this letter is where he said, when violence is coming, you either fight back or you die. But I think this is rather ridiculous to suggest that Elon Musk was inciting violence by saying that when violence comes to you, you either fight back or you die. If anything, at worst, this was telling people that you defend yourself, whether that's metaphorically or physically if someone is coming to attack you. But it's even more ironic than that, because this was all over free speech, really. Elon Musk, that whole rally was over free speech and what the general public want. Now, Ed Davey here in his letter says the UK has always prided itself on resolving disagreements through debate, through the ballot box, through the rule of law, and then he goes on to say the recent conduct of Elon Musk, deliberately spreading misinformation, stoking anger and encouraging violence. Now, for reasons I've said, I don't think he was encouraging violence. He's saying that you fight back, whether physically or metaphorically. So in his letter, he says that he urges each of the recipients to put party politics aside and join him in publicly condemning Elon Musk's remarks and considering what sanctions Elon Musk should face as a consequence. I've discussed before how they will fail in any attempts to sanction Elon Musk or his platform. Whether you agree with Elon Musk or not, that's just not going to work. And then he says, we must make clear that no individual, however wealthy or powerful, can get away with using their platform to inflame tensions and incite violence. At the same time, he says, we must uphold freedom of speech and the right to peaceful protest without fear of violence, intimidation, or manipulation from abroad. Now, isn't it ironic that the very point of speaking out is in defense of free speech, because people do fear intimidation. They do fear that they are going to lose the right to free speech and the right to peaceful protest without any kind of, not even from abroad, but from condemnation and criticism here in the UK. Now, whether you agree with everything that was said at that rally or not, whether you agree with everything that Elon Musk says or not, is sort of besides the point. The idea of free speech is that you can say the things you want to say without the fear of violence, intimidation, or manipulation. To that extent, Ed Davey is correct. At the same time, saying that we should silence somebody because Elon Musk is saying that we should fight back to protect what the people want and free speech. So I find this all a little bit ironic and contradictory, but let me know what you think, as always, in the comments below. So please do subscribe to the channel. This was a very quick update as to what's going on this morning, and we'll see how these things pan out throughout the week. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.